I'm Cindy Bokser, and you are listening to the Fiber Artist Podcast, where we chat with artists, makers, and creatives who work with fiber, get to know their stories, how they came upon their fiber practice, and more about the person behind the work. I'm so excited about today's episode, you guys. I'll be speaking with an amazing woman who has truly become a dear friend, Brydie Stewart of Merrymaker Studio. Brydie is an incredible fiber artist, innovator, and teacher. She's very much a mentor to me and in many ways a business partner. We started Macrame Movement together and have just been super lucky to have found each other. And today we have something special for all of you listening. You can get 15% off your next order in each of our shops using the code The Fiber Artist Podcast, all one word and spelled the American way. Sorry, Europeans and Australians. The Fiber Artist Podcast with an ER. Bridie's shop for those of you in Australia and New Zealand is merrymakerstudio.com.au. And for my American and Canadian friends, I'm at niromastudio.com. Our links are in the show notes, so don't worry if you missed all that. Again, don't forget to enter the Fiber Artist Podcast to get 15% off your next order. Okay, and without further ado, here's Brydie. Hi, Brydie. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here. It's an honor, and it's such an exciting thing you're doing. I'm glad to be part of it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just so funny because this is the first time we're like talking and looking at each other, even though we've been sort of partnering and we've known each other for, I want to say like almost 2 years now, like pretty closely, and we've never actually chatted on the phone. So this is a real treat.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so let's kind of go, let's start from the basics. Where are you right now? Where are you living? What's your living situation? I know you have some kids, so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm based in Kiama, New South Wales, which is about an hour and a half south of Sydney. It's a coastal town, so I'm lucky I do live pretty close to the beach. And that does inspire a lot of our lifestyle, whether it's collecting driftwood or just going for walks with the family. I've got 2 young girls. I've got an 18-month-old and a 4-year-old who keep me very, very busy. I thought the older they get, the more self-sufficient they would be, and that just is not the case at all. So,
not quite yet. They'll get there.
No. You just want them to play by themselves and they're on your leg. So doing all
mommy.
Yeah, with my family by my side, and a very supportive husband who, he's got his own business, and he just sort of said about living conditions. So I'm living in a renovation at the moment, which I often sort of talk about in my Insta stories or whatever, because it's very noisy and not really conducive to a Zen work environment. But it's pretty lovely here in Kiama, and there's a beautiful supportive creative hub on the south coast. Lots of makers doing lots of beautiful things, lots of teachers and trainers. I think we're pretty lucky to live in little old Kiama.
Yeah, it sounds so lovely. I would really want to come visit someday. We'll do it. We'll make it happen. We have to. Did you grow up there, or when did you make the move there? And
yeah, so I grew up probably an hour south, close towards Huskisson, down past Nara, and moved away to go to university, the big smoke, and left my little hometown, moved up to go to university, where I studied for 4 years, and then I was commuting. I actually got a job back to my hometown.
Oh,
so nice. I was commuting an hour and 20, morning and night, and it was okay, but I didn't want to move back home, because I thought I'd escaped it. And then I met my husband, and he lived halfway. So it was quite convenient.
Yeah, definitely.
He lived here in Kiama, so that was an easy sort of move, and we've been here ever since, and we love it here, and it's where we want to raise our family.
Yeah.
So,
every time I see an Insta story or when you're at the beach, I'm like, God, she's really living the dream. For sure.
Yeah, there is wind. Like even walking down the stairs today, I was like,
It's
a little gully. There's lots of trees and yeah, it's definitely living in the elements.
yeah, definitely.
Good and bad.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I know we moved to the country 6 months ago, and it's the same thing. It's like it's funny to see you in a sweater. I forget that it's winter there right now, and it's totally summer here, finally. So we're always living opposite.
Yeah, it's but you know, the weather here, it's winter or coming on winter, but it's still, you know, 15, 17, 18 degrees, and it's still beautiful. You can still go for walks and for swims, and
Oh, that's nice.
I just think we refuse to accept it's cold.
Yeah. You want to put it off as long as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So take me way back to like childhood and what were you like as a kid and how did you sort of I mean, my whole point in this is that I really want to know people's backstories and I really want to know their origin and how they got to, how they got into fiber art. And so tell me all the little steps that kind of got you there.
Well, going back, I was always, people laugh, my parents laugh about this. I was always a little teacher, they say. So I was the 5-year-old that came home from school and made up homework. If I didn't get homework from school, I would say, "Excuse me, Mum, can you please?" And I would literally, for hours, just do homework.
You sound like my youngest kid. He does that. It's so crazy.
Who the hell? It worked out all right. And, I was just joking to Mum the other day that she said one of the naughtiest, funniest things, as parents, your kids do something and you go, "Oh, that's so naughty, but it's so hilarious," was I actually took all of her knitting yarn, and I'm talking, 20 balls, and I wrapped the entire living room together. So there's an artist, Christo, who takes materials and wraps.
Yes, I know who you're talking about, yeah.
And Mum joked that I was the little Christo. So that was, I think I was 4 or 5, and I just wrapped, thousands of meters of wool around the dining room table and the living room and up on the hat stand. And
that's awesome.
As a 5-year-old. And maybe that was the first introduction to Mary Maker. But I've always loved being creative. And no matter what I was doing, I was always like making and always with my hands. And, I'm an art teacher. And even when I paint with my hands. I don't like paintbrushes because I'm so far from what I'm doing. So I've always, from a little age, been creative and wanted to build and to make and to, whether it's plasticine and then, teaching little friends how to do that. It's just been ingrained in my life, and my parents are really supportive of that. After they uncut all of the mess I made for them.
I have to say that was really cool of them to even let you go forward and do all of that to the house.
I don't think they knew this was happening. But, I've got 2 older brothers and a younger brother as well. So I was always sort of able to do my thing. They were off doing their thing as, boys. Mm-hmm. And I was always a girly girl. So Mum always facilitated that creative side of me, which, is so wonderful. And it's what I encourage in my children, just to try things.
Yeah, and get messy.
And get messy and make mistakes. And as a teacher, I always say, like, the only silly question is one not asked, and the only mistake is one not made. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how we grow. And, it's a really strong belief of mine.
Yeah. Do either of your parents work with fiber at all, or are they artistic or creative? And did you pick any of that up from them?
Yeah, not really. I mean, my father-in-law did. So he actually did macrame in the 80s.
Oh, nice.
And so my husband's dad. And when I first met Joel, my husband, his dad said, "Oh, you like macrame? I used to do macrame." And I was like, yeah. Show me what you got. And he actually pulled out some of his pieces that are, 45, 50 years old. And that was how we bonded as well.
Oh, that's so cool.
He now looks at my work and he comes over and goes, "That's not macrame," because it's so different to what he did all that time ago. But he's given me supplies that he
that's
had,
so cool.
sort of 35 years ago, 40, however old that, how long ago it was, supplies. And I've given him little rolls of things for Christmases. And so that's been great for us to bond. And also to talk about how it's changed. And, it's changed so much in the last 5 years, let alone 45 years. So I really feel, honoured to be so close to an original maker who can just hack me for what I'm doing now.
No, that's so cool. Did he pick it back up at all?
Yeah. So he was full time, and he used to travel and sell and make string, and he was in with manufacturers, and we are living very similar worlds.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Retail to shops, and in the back of his van, you'd open it up, and there'd just be 1,000 plant hangers and all of this cord, and he always talks about dyeing rope with Connie's crystals, and that's what I should be doing. And just things like that. So it's very similar what we're doing, which is great. So he comes over and, just checks it out and lets me know what he thinks.
That's so fun. That's like, it's just so nice to be able to have a connection like that, because it's unusual,
It is.
Yeah. Okay. So you were sort of, very crafty and artistic as a kid. When you went to university, did you study art, or were you studying teaching, or what happened there?
Yeah. So I knew I wanted to be an artist, but what that is very broad. So I went and did a fine arts degree, majoring in sculpture. Surprise, surprise. And really just tickled around with lots of different things. I knew I was going to go into teaching, so I wanted to make sure that I was confident in a large sort of, scope of things. So I did ceramics and pottery, and, different fibers, and then I did proper like sculpture with welding, and then environmental sculpture. I've done photography, just everything really, painting, drawing, life drawing, watercolor. And at the end of it, when you sort of go, right, now I'm a professional artist, what do I do with that? Who's going to pay my bills? That's when I decided to go into teaching and get my Master's of Education, and loved it. I love teaching. It's my world, and I've been teaching for 13 years. There's nothing like giving your knowledge to someone else and then having them build on that, and just that, I say that aha moment that I've got it, or you've helped me, or I've grown as a person. That kept me in teaching for 13 years.
And what were you teaching kids, or were you teaching adults, or?
I was teaching high school elective visual arts, so mainly 11 and 12, which is senior grade for us. And electives. So those people I would be working with major works. So, instead of just going, today I'm going to draw, I would say, okay, we're working on sculpture. Today you're doing painting. And it was facilitating sort of 10, 15 mini artists to create a body of work. So I'm lucky I got to sort of filter around and really develop, some amazing artists, some practicing artists that today are having shows in Berlin and Moscow, and 4 of them went to Germany a couple of years ago, and they wrote a book and my name's in front of it.
Wow, that's so cool.
Even they're tattoo artists, they're web designers. Out of a class of 10 or 15, I would normally get half the class go and become something in the art world, which for me is everything.
Yeah.
Because the world needs more creativity in everything, whether it's how you dress or how you cook, and to have people that just want to dedicate their life to that is pretty special. Yeah.
Definitely. So you were teaching for 13 years. Along this path, when and how did you discover fiber art and that you loved it? How did it come about?
Yeah. It's a pretty close to my heart story, and a few people know, and I'm not shy about saying it. So I got really sick probably 5-6 years ago, and I actually lost sight in my eyes. So it was the week before I got married. I pretty much, and we've discussed this before, like I lost vision in my eyes. and it was very full on for me, for an artist that couldn't see. And I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So that's an autoimmune disease that affects different parts of your body at different times.
Right.
My doctor gave me lots of things to do. And one of them, like your meditation, your eating, all of this on top of medication. But for my type A, aggressive, high-burning personality, when they told me to meditate, I was like, you got a chance.
Yeah.
Like, I remember sitting at the beach going,
You're like, this is never going to work.
This is never going to work. Give me something else. And I really wanted to go back to do something with my hands and my heart, and doing something for me. So working as a teacher for that long, has given me so much, but it's always, it's taken stuff from me as well. So I just started making for me, for no one else, for me. And that was my meditation. That was my zoning out. And when I make now, people laugh. I really don't even look at what I'm doing, because I'm used to just feeling it and letting the fibers go. And, people say, oh, do you plan your work? Not with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
And I really just got back to practice. And my meditation was that repetitive nature. And that's where it all came from. And I just loved it.
And how did you, so what made you decide to did you already know macrame at the time, or did you teach yourself, or how did?
Well, I went to a few classes and I got online, and I just wanted to do something that was new to me. So I'd worked with so many things over my teaching career, but I was very curious as to what else there was. So I wanted to do something that I could explore and create and, see the possibilities in. And at this point, all those years ago, macrame wasn't really popular, and everyone's like, what are you doing? What's that? Not knitting, crochet, what? And I really didn't even tell anyone what I was doing, because it wasn't about that.
You just needed to find something like to relax you. And
absolutely. And I started my Instagram page really because I'm a, visual note taker, and I've always had journals of paintings and pictures. And, I heard this thing called Instagram, and I decided to start it as pretty much just a logbook of my pieces, just so I could look back in 30 years and go, look at that. I did that. I made something. Rather than, like I've already got lots of art diaries which have paintings and drawings, and I just thought, let's just try something else. And the rest is history, maybe. But
so were you still teaching at this time, like around the time you were getting married and this happened with your site?
Yeah. So I was still teaching. I had to take 4 months off work because I couldn't see and drive, and that's all a bit interesting. But I was still teaching full time, and I remember when I was diagnosed, it's that lightning moment where you go, right, are you happy? What are you going to do? Like, if now was forever, would you be happy? And I went, no. What I'm going to do? And, lots of other things, you like certain friends or, certain people and certain beliefs, and all these habits just changed. And I said, I want to create. I want to get out of a really stressful work environment, and I just want to be happy. Yeah. Like, I want to make and create and feel warm again, and not so sort of like my job I loved, but it was a job, and it was I was always ranked on results, and it was very, lots of admin, and the creative vibe which I went in there for, it was sort of shadowed by the admin side, and how many band sixes did you get this year, and how many students got into Art Express, which is a big show, and got really stressful. And I just said to my husband, I'm just going to make a change. Don't know what that is, but I've been a big believer that if you are so passionate about something and you do it with all your heart, you will find your people.
Right.
I didn't know that this world would exist.
Well, and it certainly just exploded that none of us could have predicted it at all, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just a big believer in just, having faith.
Mm-hmm.
I had faith to go and do an art degree and my teaching degree, but that's concrete. Sometimes those things that are permanent and you can lock them in, they're easier to take a risk on rather than saying, I'm going to be a macrame artist that focuses on this. Like paying the bills, that's a stress, all those things. Just if you believe in yourself, so will other people, because I think it shows when you just love something to the ends of the earth.
Yeah, definitely. So when you first made do you remember your first macrame piece that you made? Do you still have it?
No, I gave it to a friend because it was nothing back then. I just made to give.
Right.
She's still got it. It's hanging in the hallway of her home and she loves it. And yeah, like even back then, totally, just winging it.
Yeah.
But I just did it, to give to friends and to keep me sane, just to, just to enjoy the moment, which is what I still try and do when I'm making.
And after you made your first one, did you immediately take to it? Like you were like, this is my thing? Or did that kind of come later when you realized that you could see a future with it?
Yeah, no, definitely that was my thing.
Because you'd practice so many different art forms. So it makes me wonder, like, was there something different about working with fiber than working with paint or photography or whatever else that you had been studying?
Yeah, I think it was just the feel of it, the luxury fibers and actually creating. It's sort of maybe similar to what I say, a 13-year-old boy doing clay. They just love the feeling and that they've created a thing. So I did basketry and I did weaving and I did lots of different fibre, textile arts. But when I just did macrame, it just stuck. And it's the biggest addiction I've ever had in my life.
I totally get that.
Oh, yeah. When you go to bed thinking of a piece and you wake up thinking about it and it's, when you get your friends onto it, you're like, yeah, someone else to talk to macrame about. It's more than just a little thing. It's my life. And I feel pretty happy that I've not only made it my life, but I'm now, because I'm teaching it, I'm making it other things. Because I know what it is. And I know how, strong it is for so many people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's talk about teaching, because I have to say, I think, and I don't know everybody's teaching style or whatever, but I don't know anybody who teaches a beginner workshop as thoroughly as I believe you do based on your students' Instagram photos. Like when you're all standing there with your finished piece, I'm like, oh my God, that's her beginner class. That's crazy. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your workshops. What do you like? How do you and you don't have to tell like all your secrets or whatever, but just like how do you structure it, and how are you teaching in, I don't know, I'm guessing it's about a 3-hour workshop or so.
4 hours.
4 hours, okay.
What I do preface this with is I have a master's in teaching, and I've also got 13 years of teaching year 8 boys. Right. So how I deliver instructions is very, it's targeted to everybody. And if I can't, it's very literal. It just works for us. And I don't structure. I normally work from a base sort of pattern, but every class really does just create their own from that. And some classes go a little slower, and some classes just are really into it, and we progress so fast with that. But I just am a good facilitator, I think, because I'm used to having 27 people in a class, in a school class. So when I've only got 10 and they're grown people who want to be there, I'm like,
game changer.
Easy. But I guess I just explain, and I'm really thorough. And I'm with my master's in teaching, you learn about building steps. So what you need to teach to then teach the next thing and then the next thing, and how to sort of develop different skills along the way, in order to sort of, it's a bit of a, but yeah, I do love my teaching, and yeah, like my students are my everything. And so many of them, I'm still in contact with, and to have them sort of say that you've saved me from so many, dark places in my life, and I was going through this, and, macrame really helps with that. And, thanks for your support, because they all reach out on Instagram. Yeah, it's everything. And that's what it's about for me. It's about creating why I started it, like enabling that in other people.
Definitely. I mean, it is one of the most healing, practices that I think I've personally had. And I didn't even need it for a physical reason, but it was one of those things where you could just go into it and shut down for a little while with it, and then feel really awesome after you've made something. It's like a confidence booster in a lot of ways.
It's the best form of escapism I've ever found.
Yeah. And the healthiest, I guess, versus maybe some other stuff like substances or whatnot.
And, you're right, creating something magical with your fingers, and that thread and that sense of, because I don't structure my works, it's just feeling, or that cord's curving on that side, so I'm going to curve it around, and you're really just a vessel, that's letting this do its thing. And, showing people that meditative side of the practice, and its healing benefits, as silly as that sounds, is very powerful. And I think that's why it's so popular, because it doesn't take long to finish a piece as well. Like the beginner pieces, what they can create in 4 hours, they leave going, I made that, I feel wonderful, I wonder what I could make next. And it becomes a thing. So, many times after workshops, I often get a message from people saying, I'm on Pinterest looking at macrame. Who am I? I've been on here for 5 hours. What happened? I didn't even care yesterday.
Totally. They get bitten by the bug. It just happens.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So talk to me about with as far as selling your own work, are you taking commissions? How do people come to you and request you to make something? Or are you right now at this point, are you just selling what you choose to make? Or are you doing anything made to order?
So normally people will contact me most of my work is through commissions, and people just contact me on Instagram. If anyone has a really strong idea of something that they want, I say maybe I'm not the best fit. Most people will look at my pieces and say, I really like this one, I like a bit of this, and I want this size, and I'll go, okay, do you trust me? I'll have you an amazing piece in a couple of weeks. And they're normally the jobs I get. I don't recreate pieces because I couldn't, and I don't really like too much guidance. And if someone really wants this, I often say, look, I'd love to teach you, come to a class, because you could create that. If you have the vision for that, you're obviously a creative soul, like you could create a piece, and there would be so much more in that for you than there would be for me. Mm-hmm. That the accomplishment of creating that vision that you have so strongly, like come and learn. And that's happened before as well.
I love that. I love that perspective. I've never really thought of it that way. And I think that's such a great way to think about it, because we could like drudge through doing a design of like kind of someone else's that you would make your own, et cetera, but it's so much better to say, listen, like I can teach you how to do this. And if you have your own vision for something, you can make that. That's so cool. I've like just never thought of it that way.
That's happened so often to me. And that's more than a sale to me. Like, I want to give people the love of it and the love of fibre and the love of creation, whether that's, like because they want to go on and, turn it into a little business, or because they just had a vision for something. But I do make works just to sell on Instagram. Just when I'm in a moment, I'll just sort of create something. But most of them now are commissions, and a lot of them, which breaks my heart, are for clients that are quite private and they don't really want it posted on Instagram. So a lot of them you don't see, which is yeah. But you've got to respect that as well.
That's true.
Because they're paying, for a unique piece, and they want that in their own beautiful home and not, in everyone else's. So, yeah, I sort of do a bit of everything, and yeah.
Awesome. So this part of our story may be similar. So at some point in your timeline, you evolved your business into starting to sell rope. How did that come about in your mind that you felt like you wanted to do that?
Well, because I was using so much.
And for teaching too, yeah. I mean, I think I understand this, but just to share with other people.
Yeah. And that's, I'm doing sort of 4 or 5 workshops a month, and teaching, like I'd go through lots and lots. But I found a beautiful supplier in Australia, and we worked together and started selling this product, and for probably maybe 5 or so months I just sold it at workshops. I didn't have an online store. I didn't think it was a thing. I was just happy to provide it to people in my workshops, and it was getting really sort of difficult because if I do a workshop in Sydney, the ladies would go, "Oh, I didn't buy enough. When you're in Sydney next, can you drop some over?" And that's how I went online, just because I had the need, I guess, to do so. But and from doing that, it's I've just got such a curious mind. And even when I make a piece, I'll go, "Oh, that looks good, but it would look even better with a bit of this." So then I now, try and find that, and that may not exist, which means I have to, contact manufacturers and it's still that creative soul of me. So I always say I'm the accidental businesswoman.
I totally know. I know what you mean.
Yeah, like I didn't do this for any other reason to support, other people really. And I never thought it would become what it is. And yeah, it's just grown, and people have been really supportive, which is lovely. And, my customers are the best. I'm in contact with so many of them, all of them really. And, they let me know how I've allowed them to grow as well, which is what it's all about. So it's been a beautiful journey, because I get to meet so many makers.
I know. That's that really is one of the best things about, probably the best part of this, of being in this, with this perspective of, of being a seller, is meeting so many people, which is why it's taken me to starting the podcast. And I was like, I'm meeting so many people, I'm talking to so many people, but I want to have a little bit more insight into what's, behind what got them there. So yeah, it's really awesome.
That's it. And, there's no, everyone who macrames is lovely. So we've got a good drawing pool.
Definitely.
But the makers is, what makes it, because I spend a lot of my time, just sourcing for them and getting their orders ready and emailing and all that sort of thing. So if they weren't, so supportive and so lovely, it would make it hard. But I'm just filled, with so much, so many good vibes from all of them.
Definitely.
And I love seeing them thrive, and I love seeing them, because they're making way more than I am. And I'm so jealous. You made 2 pieces this week. And I love that, because I know, our relationship with some of them is so long. I know what it means to them, and I love that.
Yeah. So actually, let's talk about that. How much time do you now spend making a piece versus running the other parts of the business?
Yeah, the other parts is all of it.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, my days are pretty full, and I do have 2 kids at home. So I do all this as they're on my leg. And
do you not have childcare?
I do, but only 2 days.
Oh my gosh. I'm even more astounded.
Yeah.
How old are they again?
18 months.
18 months. And 4. Oh, so your 4-year-old will go to kindergarten next year? Is that what it's called there? Oh, the year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Wow.
Look, they're great sleepers. So even my 4-year-old will sleep for 3 hours a day.
Oh my God. You're so lucky.
I know.
Wow. Mine's my younger one stopped sleeping. Stopped taking naps at 3, I think, when he was 3.
Yeah. No. So my day, and I've got to be mindful that I'm a mum first.
Mm-hmm.
So this is second. I'm a mum and I'm a wife. So, I wake up and I take the girls for a walk most mornings, and, we have breakfast and go to the park and do all that. And then I become, boss lady. Then I go to bed. And then I answer emails and get orders ready, and I make sure that all my clients are serviced before I make anything for myself. So I used to make a piece or 2 a week, and now I make 1 a month.
Yeah.
Which is so sad. It's what I love, but it is just, I'm a one-man show, and my service to them, is everything. So I need to make sure that they get their orders. So for client orders, I have it shipped the next morning. Because I'm as impatient as anyone, and I know that they don't want to wait.
Right, and it's also the pressure. You don't want to disappoint, and even if in your stated policies it's within 3 days it will go. We'll get shipped out of here. There's this pressure to just get it out that day or the next day. Yeah,
and I do. So my courier comes most days. He doesn't even check anymore. And I just make sure that everything's ready to go for them and everything's sorted for them. And then once that's done, because I can't really have a beautiful moment, the work I'm creating, if I'm thinking, got to ship this, got to email her. So, I've got to have that part of the business sorted. But I start work at maybe 7 o'clock at night. So once my day is sort of finished, and I get to bed about 1 a.m. every morning.
Oh my gosh. That's why we're still able to text each other. I'll be like, what is she doing up?
I'm like, hey, I've had 6 coffees. Yeah. But look, it works for me now. And yeah, just, it works for me. And I just need to make sure that all my clients are happy and serviced, and getting their things straight away.
Yeah, definitely. So I would assume that your goals when you started this business are slightly different than they were when you first started, because it seems like it really was just just to experience the maker life and continue feeling really wonderful with making macrame pieces, and now it's turned into a real business. How do you feel, and where do you think you want to take it in the next few years? What would your hopes and dreams be for it?
Yeah, and that's it's a really big one. I guess even back to the name, so Mary Maker Studio, it's not called Brydie Macrame or something. I really do have a vision of creating, and I'm sitting in here now, I'm in my studio now, being an art teacher, I wanted to have a home, a practicing art studio where I could teach everything I know to school kids and to, mature age groups, and, have Wednesday, painting classes, and that's where I will go further down the track, I think. But my vision first starting was that passion and that love and just getting back to making, but having, facilitating that in other people is so rewarding. It hasn't been a negative shift that I don't make as much anymore, because I see joy in other people and their stories and see them shine. And that's just like a proud mama watching over, it makes me warm. And so that wasn't part of my plan, but it's definitely a part of my future. And I plan, so I've just finished the studio. My husband's so beautifully built me a lovely studio that's been the dream, forever. But I'm going to hold classes here pretty soon. So I'll have all my macrame classes here, and I'll do other classes, even get to know your camera and drawing and life drawing and, building mugs and just things that I love. I just want to fill my world with things I love.
Yeah. How have your goals evolved since you first started making macrame?
A lot's changed, I guess.
It's fine. It's fine. We can totally edit.
So I guess my goal started with me just wanting to create, and it's gone on to wanting to facilitate other people to create with Mary Maker Studio. And I think that, even with the choice of name, it's more about a studio-based art practice. And I'm just about to sort of launch this here, and my art studio will become a place of creativity for everybody, where I will teach all of my workshops and lots of new workshops from lots of different art practices.
So will you be teaching all of them, or are you going to be taking on some instructors or teachers?
I'll definitely take on instructors. I'm a big believer in, getting people that do the right thing. There's lots that I can facilitate. So, drawing and painting, and, even with little kids, like doing little dragon sculptures, and I love that. But definitely I've already hooked up literally a beautiful lady who's going to come and teach crochet and just a few different things, because within the local Kaima area there's so many people that want to learn these things, and it's such a creative hub, but there isn't really that continual base of things. So that's I just want to surround myself with creative things and people, and turn the music up loud and enjoy life.
It really sounds amazing. And the fact that you'll be able to do that from your live work studio in your home, and your kids will be close by, and they'll be exposed to all of this, all the people coming in and out, and I'm sure they're going to grow up being really artistic as well.
Yeah, well, I joke because Lola, my 4-year-old, anywhere you take her, I need a book, Mum, I need a pen. She has to be drawing.
That's so awesome.
And it's really beautiful because, my husband jokes that she's just me as a 4-year-old, good or bad. So it's good that I'm very aware of putting creativity into the world for children. So I used to have a piece in a restaurant down here, and my daughter would go up to the people sitting underneath it going, "That's macrame, it's artwork, and my mum made it."
It's so cute. She's so proud.
Going, "No, she didn't," because they didn't know.
Right.
And when we go into a place, she'll go, "Mummy, what sort of artwork is that?" And, I love that about her. It's that inquisitive, curious mind that we sometimes lose. So I want to facilitate that, getting as curious as possible through exploration, and hopefully through me. And
totally. That's so amazing that even at that age she can distinguish that there is a difference between art forms. I don't even know my kids know what art is.
Well, I always joke, if you don't know what it is, it's art.
Yeah.
So if we walk past the park and there's a weird thing, it's art. And it's just talking about what is that, and how it with my teaching background, is how it makes you feel, and what emotion does it project on you, and what do you think the artist was feeling. It's great to talk because they've got answers. Like, you tell me a 4-year-old that doesn't have an answer. They will just make it all up. It's good to put that into their frame of mind, because then those questions become, questions that they ask other people, and it really just does start the cycle of creation at a very, very young age.
That's so cool. I'm actually very inspired to start talking to my kids more about just more about creating and more about art. And especially my younger one, who is very creative, we just have him coloring all the time, but we don't really talk about it, and I guess there's so much you can bring out of them. I'm totally inspired to be a better mom, Brydie.
Trust me, there's lots that wouldn't inspire you. I think, we all just do our thing and it's what we know. So what I know is I've been teaching art for 13 years. So that's what I know. I don't know how to cook. There's plenty I don't know how. But I just want to share what I do know with everybody who will listen.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And it's all about to happen with the studio. I'm so excited for you. When do you have like an opening date goal, or what's going on?
Yeah, look, not really. And look, no one's even seen the studio till now. It's a pretty private place for me, and I've worked my I've dreamt this up, and it's like showing someone your bedroom for me. I want to really feel comfortable in the space and really make it beautiful before I say come on in, because it's a big move, and once it's open to the public, it's out there. So I'm just getting everything right, and getting some good energy, and working out what I do want to do, because once, that's a whole nother thing that I need to be serious about and make my mind up for. So, I need to be confident in what I'm doing and where I'm going, but I'm very excited about it. And it's that, teaching kids out of school environments was where this whole idea did start as well. So it's pretty exciting to be so close.
It is really cool. So with the way, with your rope setup, do you currently have people who come and pick up in person, or is it shipping only, like online?
Yeah, so mainly online.
Okay.
I do have a few people locally, that a lot of women at the gym I've taught, or they are makers independently. So I do a lot of drop-offs at the gym, my local gym, and a few people that collect from my home. But at the moment it is a construction site.
Yeah.
Doing massive renovations, and there's 5 trucks in the front yard every day. So
crazy.
Stepping over all the ladders to get their little cotton. So mainly it's just online, but that'll all change once it's finished, and they can then come and have a look at the rope wall and pick colours and feel the fibres, and
that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I'm just picturing you like dragging these rolls of rope to the gym. It's like you don't even need to go to the gym if you're carrying all that stuff home. They're so heavy.
Yeah, it's funny because there's so many makers locally, and they just so happen to all go to my gym, which is great. And that's beautiful too. I love that people just get out of it what we do.
Yeah, totally. So actually, you're talking about the gym. Do you have any like daily routines or rituals that are just like non-negotiables for you, as far as either staying creative, staying motivated, staying healthy?
Yeah, I'm pretty locked into, I've got days I do things. So this morning, even though I went to bed at, 12:30, I was up at 4:30, and I go for a run. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, I go for a run, and then I go to the gym, and then I come home, and they're sort of work days. And then I just lock into work, and I get into emails, and then I get into, to orders and replying and Instagram, and I'm pretty mindful in how I treat my body with my illness. I eat extremely well, and I joke that I can't cook because I don't actually heat food. So I'm not
raw? Are you on a raw diet?
Well, I didn't know it was a thing, but I must be pretty close.
It's like a Gwyneth Paltrow thing.
Should call up. Yeah, well, I didn't know that was a thing. So I just really eat salads and like really green everything. So if it's green, just put it in a bowl with a bit of lemon, and I'm going to eat it. But I'm mindful, to keep my body strong, because with MS you can lose the use of legs and arms, and I just need to make sure that I'm as fit as I can be if that ever happens. And obviously, you are what you eat. So I'm mindful that I need to, fuel my body. So I've got a pretty good diet to the detriment of my husband's like, I can't take you anywhere. Oh. Don't want pizza? No, I want a kale salad. But that's it brushes off on the kids, and, Lola says to me, Mummy, is this healthy? Is this good for my body? And, not in a shaming way, just like, where did that lettuce come from, the garden, and where did this come from? So just learning about things and being as natural as possible, and learning what works for you, which
definitely
is for everybody.
That's awesome though. It's a good thing to pass on. My kids eat so horribly. like I'll cook, but they don't, I don't know, whatever, kids. They don't want to eat anything except for crap food.
No. Well, Lola will eat a whole plate of just broccoli and cauliflower.
Okay, but for real, can we just switch? Like, can you just parent my kids for a while?
No.
Because
I've seen your stories. No.
Yeah, it's true. You wouldn't be able to handle the boys. They're insane.
No, I wouldn't. I've got nephews, and I just look at how boisterous they are. And my girls are sitting down drawing. And, the worst thing is someone put they swap the textures over. And I've got these boys outside with throwing dinosaurs at each other. I couldn't parent boys.
Oh, they're just so physical. They're so physical.
Yes. So energetic.
I know. And I only have a sister, so I don't even, I don't know what this is. I stand back and I just stare at them. Like, I'm like, they're like a different species. It's so crazy.
But, the best.
They are. They are.
The best. That energy.
Yeah.
When it continues, they will, conquer the world, really, because it's just passion, it's just fuel, it's fire, and that's what, makes strong people.
It's true.
So it's such a great thing.
Definitely. So, I keep hitting my microphone. Do you have anything coming up other than the studio, I guess, that you wanted to promote or talk about? Any new, any new fibers coming out that you're going to be offering soon, or?
Well, today I've just, so one fiber that I think we both stock, is the felted wool. And I've just been unpacking my latest delivery of the product. I worked with the manufacturer with that. I love the felted wool, but once again, I was doing the work personally, and I said, I wish this was a bit thinner, a bit like, a bit more like wool, but not as thin, a bit more pliable, a bit more this. And I've worked with the supplier to create what I call the art yarn. And I just did it as a bit of a test run, and people just love it.
Yay.
So I just got like a million boxes turn up on my doorstep yesterday. And
so lots of new colors in the art yarn.
Yeah, I've got 40 colors.
Awesome. So you Australians get on it.
Yeah. And I think I've got to remember with the business that I'm always better, not bigger. So I won't do anything over here if I know it affects what I've already got. So because my client base is everything. So I need to make sure that, I don't want to go on to these massive grand things if I can't actually structure them all. So I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I've got I did a few special photo shoots lately. So I've been in a couple of magazines and online blogs, which is pretty exciting.
Are you allowed to talk about which ones yet, or do you need to keep that under wraps?
Yeah, no, maybe when they come out.
Okay.
I still feel a bit numb from it, to be honest, because, when these people call you up, I'm like, is this a prank? What are you calling me for? But I think that's great as well that people are starting to appreciate this. And, like I had a team of 3 people turn up here with a, camera crew and a lighting guy and photographer, and it just makes you appreciate, it makes you think that what you're doing, you're on the right track, and it's not just what I do for myself, but what I do for other people, and that's how I've sort of got my name. But just happy doing what I'm doing.
Definitely. So with the recent publicity that will be coming through, did those all came to you, or have you been putting yourself out?
No, I do not at all. I'm too embarrassed. No, I'm just the maker at home in her pajamas.
That's how I feel every day.
So no, they've all came to me, which has been pretty humbling.
That's awesome.
And amazing. It's been a beautiful process. But and I think it inspires other makers as well. Like, that could be me, and I could be in those pages, and look what I can do if I just stick at it. And it's a new world. Like, this is a new job. This didn't exist 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So letting people know that there is, like, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I love that I can inspire people from doing that. But yeah, I've just filmed some some online workshops, I guess you could say.
Oh, awesome. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, well, I'm a school teacher. So for the last however many years, I have created systems. It's a bit of my thing, but I wanted to
Oh, I lost you again. Are you there? Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So hold on. So go back to okay. So you create systems, and so you're starting to do the videos.
Oh, okay. So so I've spent my life teaching and creating patterns and workshops, and that's what I've done. So I didn't really want to go down the pattern, like writing patterns, because it's what I've always done, which it would be so simple for me to just continue it. But I've changed a bit, I guess. So I'm just looking to create. Lots of people say they can't make it to workshops. So I'm just looking at, making a way that I can make it more accessible to everybody.
Awesome. So when do you hope to launch that?
Oh, well, I've got the patterns. I've made them. Maybe how long does it take to edit a video?
I guess it depends on your editor. Are you doing it? Are you editing it?
Well, I know how to use those programs, but once again, hire people. Like I'll just do it at 2 a.m. So, look, they're not massive things for me at the moment, because I've got so much else going on, but it's definitely something that I'm exploring. But just targeted to what my people have asked for, really, just giving them what they want.
Definitely.
Yeah, and especially the mandalas. They all want a mandala.
Oh, awesome.
Idea, yeah.
That'll be a good one. And I also don't think I've seen like a mandala tutorial or anything out there, so awesome.
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, I hadn't seen anyone. I did the classes, and they've been popular just as a point of difference, and it's a bit of a intermediate class.
Definitely.
So yeah, just mixing it up, adding a bit of spice, bit of flavour to the macrame world.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that I know about your work is that it really stands out to me as a style that I think is very individual to you. And your voice really comes very clearly through. Like every time I see you post to work, I don't even have to look at the name. I know it's yours. And, you and we run the Macrame Movement Facebook group together. And there's a lot of discussion about copying and inspiration and all that kind of stuff. And I think you and I, we talk about it, and we really want to just support people to find their own voice in this field that has become really popular, and some may say quote unquote saturated. But what kind of advice would you give to people who want to try to find their own unique voice in this art or craft?
Yeah, just take it slow. I have some people that do a workshop and then, on the weekend and then on the Tuesday, they've got a macrame page and they're, selling these pieces that they made 40 minutes ago, which is fine. But if you want longevity in this, you've got to find your own voice and your own style. And most people that start fast and hard will do so by copying the works of others. Which, if you're doing it to hang in your daughter's room and no one's going to ever see it and no one knows it exists, you didn't sell it, you haven't offended the maker, because I think what's lost in that is we might spend 15 hours on a piece that is our heart, and then you see someone recreate it and it's not their heart.
Right.
And it's when you make it with such love, it can be sort of upsetting to see that.
It's hurtful. I mean, it's like straight up hurtful. When when we talk about this, I think I should be very clear that I'm not talking about these very kind of simple patterned pieces that you're going to see, in old macrame books or just practice pieces or whatever. We're talking about these extremely intricate, non-accident type pieces, that you're seeing recreated.
Absolutely. And as we know, there are only a few knots. But what you can do with those knots, it really is, there's no limit. And it's some of them, there is no accident, that they have been straight up copies. And I sort of just say, you're not going to grow creatively if you're looking at someone else's thing, because you're not there. Mm-hmm. We can't compare ourselves to someone next to us. And when, I'm teaching my class, I always say to people, look, don't look at the person's square knot next to you. If I was to give you all a sentence and a piece of pen and paper and we were to write it down, some of you would write big, some of you would write small, some of you would fill the whole page and not write on the lines, but it would still read and it would still be legible. So don't be concerned about making like that person because you love what they do. Create from your heart, play around, and you might develop just this beautiful natural style that everyone else loves what you do. But it's giving yourself just that time to learn and time to grow, and don't try and, be something 2 weeks after you just learned. Just give yourself that space to grow.
Absolutely.
It is hurtful when someone, I think I've had one piece copied a few times, and it was, and the maker sort of contacted me, and because I was tagged in it, oh, this looks like, Mary Makers, and she said, oh, yes, I was inspired by her piece, and it was just the same.
Yeah.
And look, it's hard because, you go into Target here and you go into those places and, you can get a macrame for $40, which, and it's in that side of things, I always say to people, well, I go to Target and to get an $8 singlet rather than going to the boutique, so that you're always going to have, there's a different market for everybody as well. But I think if you're going to be a maker and a, unique, fibre artist making them to sell, not in department stores, you've just got to find your own voice, because that will give you so much confidence once you get it, and it will give you so much cred in the world that you created this beautiful piece on your own.
Yeah. The other thing it just came to me, and I think we talked about it a long, long time ago, but that with your pieces, for example, anyone who's able to copy one of your pieces clearly means that person has a lot of skill, like visual skill, technical skill. It's all there. So it's almost like there's just no reason to copy, because that person is clearly so talented already. They just need to dig a little deeper, Yeah.
And I think it comes back to, because I have quite a big social media following, it comes back to that, and people may think, oh, if I make this, it might get this many likes or this many, and for me of late, we've just got to remember that that's nothing. Social media and the likes is not a value of how good you are or your worth or anything. And we really, as creatives, we're all pretty emotional people. We can't look to that as a way to judge value. Or even if you put up a photo and it doesn't get 500 likes, so it must be crap, or down, I posted at the wrong time. It just takes away from the heart of it. And that's when we first started, I didn't say, well, my business plan is to get 1,000 likes on every photo. That's not, it was to love it.
Yeah.
And if I love it,
to love it and share it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's hard. I know. Social media makes us narcissistic in so many ways, and it's also wonderful in so many ways, but it's definitely that double-edged sword that you just have to find a balance with.
I was having a conversation with a friend just the other day, and we said at the end of our days, when all is done, we're going to wish that we had more time to spend with our family and to do what we loved. We're not going to wish we had 1,000 more followers. Mm-hmm. That is it's nothing. It's a great platform where we can meet so many people, but it also can be pretty crappy. Mm-hmm. It makes people feel, like that we're competing, and it's not about that. There is room for everybody.
Totally. Yeah. No, I know it's a tough balance to find, because I think I have to assume everybody at some point feels this comparison or competition with it, and with ourselves, and seeing other people that we perceive to be doing better, or all of that, and it's just not always, it's not healthy. And so I think I personally struggle to find that balance, and I think I assume you do too. Yeah. So hopefully we can all strive to be better in that sense, and just feel good about what we're doing in our own world, and just make do what we can to make ourselves better. Right.
Yeah. Well, I always say the best bits of my life don't make it to social media.
Yeah.
Which is
so true.
Because the best parts of your life are the moments. It's not the posed photo. And that's what it's all about, I guess. So totally. I think when makers starting out, it's really good to encourage, growth. Like, you're not going to go from 5 followers to 10,000. But even though you might be making as good as that person that has all these followers, you want to, as they say, you want to crawl before you can walk.
Yeah, definitely. Good advice. And I love that analogy with the writing. That's such a good analogy.
Yeah. It's true.
I'm going to steal it. But you guys all know now, because y'all heard it. You guys all just heard Brydie say it. So
you can take it.
I forgot this is a podcast for a second.
Yeah. No one will ever know.
Yeah. All right. So I guess, this is that was the bulk of the conversation, but I have a couple fun, just speed round questions that I wanted to ask. What is one of the things on your bucket list?
To go live in Indonesia.
Oh, to live? Not just visit? Oh, you visited a bunch of times, right?
Yeah, we go there all the time, and we want to go and live there for a couple of years.
That's craziness.
Yeah.
Cool. I would like to see that happen.
Just why not? Yeah. You can always come home. Why not?
That's true. Cool. If you were a color, what color would you be?
Fuchsia.
Ooh, nice. I can see that.
A pink girl. Just, don't cry. Just makes me happy.
Yeah, me too. If you had 1 free hour a day, what would you do with it?
Yeah, make and drink coffee.
I agree with that. Either that, or at this moment, I want to say sleep, because it's late here. I'm so tired, but okay. Couple more. If you had a time machine, what point in the past or future would you visit?
Oh, who knows? I'm not one at looking in the past, because I've been there, I've done that. But, anything to do with my kids. So, maybe I could rewind to when they were born so I could relive that again, because they're getting old. And, Lola's 4, and sometimes I just turn around to little Miss Sassy and, they're growing up and I just want to be there every second. If maybe I could rewind back to, the day they were born, and I think you just take it in better now that they're getting older.
Yeah. You forget about how hard it is. Like, I don't know, your little one's 18 months. I feel like that was a really hard time for me personally, like when they're really young toddlers. But, I know lately I've been like, ooh, should we have another one? And then I'm like, no. I take it back.
Shh, leave, go away.
I did not put that in the universe.
I don't have that thought at all. Probably something. I don't like thinking about the past, but definitely it'd be family related.
Cool. Okay, last one. What is your current favorite Instagram account?
Oh, probably nothing related. They're always, I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Oh, good. That was going to be one of my other questions. So, yeah.
So I love Gary Vee.
He's awesome.
On Instagram. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like Lewis Howes on podcast, The School of Greatness.
Oh, I've never heard that one.
Yeah, I just like listening to people that are powerful and positive. I don't watch TV at all. I fill my world, working from home, I'm by myself a lot. So I just fill my ears and my mind with positivity. Lewis Howes, The School of Greatness is a good one.
Okay.
Just sort of anyone, Oprah, anyone that's going to sing love through my ears.
Yeah, and just like pump you up, right? Like kind of pump you up for the day. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we all need a little pump up. Oh, I love that. I'm going to check those out.
Yeah, do.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Brydie. This was amazing to finally talk to you. And I feel like I truly know you now, and I'm going to come visit. And
someone's going to turn the mic on you one day, miss.
Wait, what'd you say?
Someone has to turn the mic on you one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. Yeah, no, I think we were thinking about doing an episode where somebody interviews me. I was talking to Megan Shimek for, I interviewed her last week, and she was like, maybe I'll do the interview for you. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, and you're doing such a great job, and you're such a beautiful, humble, supportive, mentor. What you do for the fibre world is second to none. You are.
Oh, you're so sweet. You made me cry.
Well, and you probably, you're just amazing, and I value our friendship so much, and you just inspire so many, and that is such a beautiful thing to do in the world. That's so busy. You fill people up.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same way about you. So that's amazing. Yeah. It's so nice to hear. I'm going to give you a big hug.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Brydie. And have a wonderful day, because I know it's morning over there. And I will see you on Insta soon. Check the show notes of each episode to get the website and Instagram for each of the fiber artists I speak with. Be sure to give them a follow. And you can view video from this podcast on niromastudio.com/thefiberartistpodcast. If you enjoy the Fiber Artist Podcast, go to Apple Podcasts to subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you for listening.